Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is the NFL 2026 Prospect Profile Show. We are going to pick two college players. They don't necessarily have to be seniors, and especially now with juniors coming out early, two guys that we think are going to come out. And we're going to talk about their draft prospect, where we think they fit, some of their strengths and weaknesses. And in order to get that, we're going to look at Joey Clinkscales' bird's eye view from a general manager standpoint, from a scouting director, from a personnel director, a guy that really knows and understands that aspect of the business. He's also a former player. Joey Clinkscales with us, along with Brian LeBel, our NFL and our NCAA analyst. And I'm Harper LeBel. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. First guy we're going to look at today is a linebacker out of Ohio State. Wait a second. You just talked about Arvell Reese last week. You just mentioned him. You had a 20-minute show talking about how great this linebacker is. Well, guess what, gentlemen? There's more than one at Ohio State. When you talk about a football factory right now, the Buckeyes are loaded. Caleb Downs may be the number one pick overall, but offensive linemen, you've got defensive linemen, you've got secondary, you've got wide receivers. Brian, you've commented on how many great Ohio State wide receivers are in the National Football League right now. But let's just give a little shout out to Sonny Styles, linebacker. He's 6'4", he's 240, 45, 43, somewhere in there, 4.48 40 time. Joey, I'll start with you. All of the parameters in terms of a small waist, big shoulders, incredible lockout speed, and a guy that loves to hurt offensive players, whether it be a tight end, running back, an offensive lineman, or a quarterback, even a punter, I guess we could throw in. I played with his father years ago when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. He played 6 years in the league. Lorenzo, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree, and Sonny have a total package here right now. Let's talk a little bit about him.
Well, all great things come in pairs usually. At least that's what they say, and that's the way it is at Ohio State at the linebacker position. It's been that way for a while. Sonny is, again, he's 6'4", 243-ish. They list him at 4.48. I'm not sure I saw that type of just wide open speed because he hadn't had to use it. Not saying that he can't do it. You just don't see it because he doesn't have to use it. However, what you do see in this play is you do see a short burst. So when he sees things and he has to go from point A to point B, sideline to sideline, or when he's attacking the quarterback, you see a sense of urgency, a suddenness that gets from point A to point B really quick. He's a guy that I would call in the scouting world, he's a little bit high cut, which means he's got longer legs, not necessarily a shorter torso, but he does have long legs. He's got pretty long arms, narrow-waisted kid, narrow-hip kid. He's a little bit tight. You can see it in this change of direction. He has to really turn and go rather than his ability to actually drop his weight, turn, and go. But that being said, he's a good athlete. That's one of the small athletic limits that he has, just the little bit of hip and ankle tightness that I see in him. But with the exception of that, there's nothing this guy can't do. I've seen him intercept the ball off a tip ball. I've seen him rush the passer. I've seen him make plays behind the line of scrimmage. I've seen him go sideline to sideline to make a play. And when he gets there, he not only does he get there in a hurry, he gets there to force the most impactful amount of pain on guys that he can. Now, again, when I talk about tight ankles and tight hips, you will see him. He's going so fast, and if a guy puts his foot in the ground and move, he can't drop his hips on the move like that. You would like to see him be able to sink and bend and get out of things better, and that's where the tightness in the hips and the ankles come from. So you'll be able to see that if you're studying him on a long-term basis. You'll see some of that in his play. But outside of that, he plays middle linebacker. He plays Sam linebacker. He'll stand on the line of scrimmage and rush. He'll blitz from off the line of scrimmage. So his versatility is really good. He's not really a wheel linebacker because of some of the tightness issues, and you can see that. But he plays middle a lot. And again, he plays Sam a lot to the strong side of the field. So there's a lot to like about this player, which tells you instinctually he's pretty good. He's probably a high IQ guy, especially playing middle linebacker and probably calling the defenses or relaying the defenses now because everybody has the mics in the headset. So it's a lot to like about this player. And with the new defense coordinator that they have, who's a former Patriot and Lions coach,
Patricia, yeah.
He is getting a lot of information. He's having to disseminate that, and it takes a pretty bright guy to play in that system. So there's a lot to like about Sonny Styles, and if we're saying inside backer is what he's playing, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the first inside linebacker taken off the board.
Interesting. I like it. I'll talk to you about something else in a second. But Brian, we talked about Arvil Reese last week. There's David Bailey out of Texas Tech. There's Anthony Hill out of Texas, and then Sonny. Again, the pair, the two, as Joey was talking about, of linebackers there at Ohio State. C.J. Allen from Georgia is also in that mix. It's still way too early to tell. They haven't even been to a combine or done anything. But early rankings right now, he could be 3 or 2. He could be 7 or 8. Where do you put him in terms of a slot, in terms of, 1, his importance for the Buckeyes and what he does, and 2, obviously, from an NFL talent perspective on who would want to pick him on draft day?
Well, I think part of it is he's still kind of a raw prospect because he was playing safety up until 2024, up until last year. He was too good. He was backing up at safety, but he was too good. They couldn't keep him off the field. He loved to stick his nose in and make tackles. Says, hey, you can play linebacker for us. You got the size, you got the quickness, and I don't know if there's a spot on the field other than corner that they haven't stuck him at yet, because he's all over the place, and he's deservedly so. He plays really, really well. And when you have a guy like Reese on the other side, or the dynamic duo that they have in the middle, you look at Ohio State's record, what they've been able to accomplish over the last 2 years. It makes a lot of sense. And Joey kind of hit the nail on the head with what he's able to do. It's interesting. I think we have, like, Jabril Peppers was a guy who played linebacker and safety, right? He's a guy that kind of had the best of both worlds. He's still playing. He's still, playing some good football. He went to Michigan, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of that in a sense that he can cover. A lot of people say he's a better cover linebacker than he is a run stopper, scraping sideline to sideline. But I watched the Illinois tape from this year, and he looked spectacular going sideline to sideline. He was making tackles left and right. He made a goal line stand at the 1 yard line, kept the quarterback out of the end zone. I still don't know how he did it. I had to watch that play a couple times just to be able to torque his body and have the strength to be able to keep a guy running, another college athlete running full speed at you, to be able to flip him around and keep him out of the end zone and make a huge stop is, that stuff that doesn't go unnoticed, especially at the next level. Obviously you got to wait and see for a combine. And we always talk about, and you brought it up last week, maybe he can improve his 40 time a tick or whatever it might be, just to move him up the rankings a little bit. But, there's a lot of really good linebackers in this class, and him being, I think he's the number 4, ranked prospect, depending on where you look at it. I think that's about where he should be. I think that's where he deserves to be because, he's earned it. And again, not even 2 full seasons at linebacker. I think he's still figuring it out. And I think he's still a raw prospect.
Joe, I want to go back to you. You said something a few moments ago about him being tight. For somebody who isn't familiar with the terminology, a guy that runs a 4.48 and is the fastest linebacker, or at least one of them, how do you come up with him being tight? Now, my question to you then, to be very, very specific, does he run in a straight line really well, but he doesn't run at angles at the same, or turning? You mentioned that he's a little tight in the hips, and he doesn't rotate as good or as quickly as some of the other guys do. So just clarify that for me, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, you can be tight and be fast. Okay. You can be twitchy and be fast. Okay. So the two things aren't necessarily related to one another from a athletic standpoint, as far as top end speed. So, you run into a lot of track guys that will never be able to play football because they can run straight line. A 200-meter guy most of the time can run a straight line. A decathlete can run a straight line, but the changes happen is when they have to stop on a dime, flip their hips, run from sideline to sideline. As long as that there is clear space there's no problem. But anytime you have an obstacle in the way and you have to avoid that obstacle, or either run over the obstacle if you're a linebacker sometime, that's when you see some of the tightness and being able to stop on a dime. And you can see some of that in his play because he's more comfortable running straight than dropping his hips and turning and accelerating. Now, when he sees it, he can go. And that's where the twitch comes in. And twitch is something you can't teach. You either have it or you don't. And he has twitch. So he can go from point A to point B really quick. It's when he has to go from point A to point B, avoid something or come off that train track and then get back on it. That's when you see some of the tightness.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that, because obviously there's 21 other guys on the field and you got to move around certain people at times. And he may have a great burst to be able to get from A to B, as you mentioned. But there are times at the elite level, and when you're grading somebody at the elite level, that he's not elite in going around somebody and then getting to the ball. He kind of slows down a little bit in a manner that isn't slow to you and me, but for, again, an elite level number 1, number 2 draft pick that you're going to take and select, that's broken down very minutely and dissected with tremendous precision. So I appreciate you doing that.
And some of that, and just not to finish this thought, some of that may be the fact that he changed positions. Okay, so sometimes the fact that you're thinking instead of reacting quickly, though, when you think, it slows you up. Okay, but when you react, it's second nature to you. So it may not completely be second nature to him because he played safety, probably 18 months ago. He's playing safety.
And you're dealing with a different. Go ahead.
So those things will come a lot more naturally to him the more reps he gets at doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that as well, because you're dealing with a completely different set of circumstances when you're 12 yards away from the ball and backing up anytime that somebody is going to be throwing the ball in the wide open spaces that are the secondary, versus having a couple of 300 and plus pound guys, as well as a tight end or a wide receiver that you got to get around in order to get to the back or the quarterback. It's a different portion of the game and a new position. Do you see in his maturity level and the growth from where he is right now, for him to naturally be able to get better at that, to where it doesn't become an inhibitor in terms of people judging him on his tightness, because he's making strides to improve all of that?
Oh, without question. And not saying between the time his season ends, he declares, and the time he's working out, I'm sure he'll know what the things he needs to work on are. And those drills that we do to determine his hip flexibility and hip quickness, he'll be pretty good at that, because that'd be something he's trained with. He's worked at it. So the more reps he get, he'll get better and better at it. And as far as the strength aspect, he's already strong. I mean, you can see him physically jacking up tight ends, jacking up offensive tackle once he gets his hand up. So he's a strong kid. So the fact that he was a safety, and I don't know what his weight was as safety. I'm sure he's gained weight to play linebacker. But physically, he looks the part. He looks like a middle linebacker. He is strong. He's physical. So all those things are just minor things that stand out when you're really studying the guy. But I don't think it's a inhibitor of him being a really high draft pick.
Yeah, well, Joey brings up a lot of great points, Brian, and one that we haven't really discussed, but he's got the fastest 40 time for the linebackers. He is above average, almost in the elite class in terms of his height. His weight is a little low for what the ideal would be, but if he added weight, maybe his 40 time wouldn't be so good. But here are some of the things that he reclassified, by the way. So he's a year older. He stayed back, so to speak, in elementary school and high school, which allowed one more year of maturity. And I think that's a great thing. It used to be a taboo, but if you need it and it helps you, why wouldn't you do it? But he's athletic. He's devastative. That's another word I hadn't heard. Devastative, not devastating. He has frightening speed, is the way one person put it. And as a pass rusher, he is very elusive. He's powerful, as Joey mentioned. There's a lot of things in terms of his versatility that he may not be an edge rusher, but my goodness, if he can play linebacker and cover a very fast linebacker or tight end, and you bring him on a third and whatever blitz, it's almost like you're getting a 12th guy on the field in terms of all the things that he can do to help you win.
Yeah, he does a little bit of everything really, really well. Another added thing for him is, Joey talked about Matt Patricia being their DC. He's already running an NFL style defense, right? And he's excelling at it too. Some NFL coaches licking their chops saying, hey, if we can get this kid, I don't know where he'll go yet. Obviously, we can wait for the combine and a lot of other stuff to happen, but they're going to be excited to have a guy like him on the field. And the only thing he really hasn't done is in his Ohio State career, like a lot of the guys there, is beat Michigan. They'll get a chance to do that on Saturday, but not a lot in his game, again, especially because he's still got to refine some stuff. Maybe the only red flag you have on him is he did come back for senior year. He did reclassify, but I think it was worth it. I think he added some maturity, like you said. I think everything he's done is it's led to where he is right now, and it's all worked out really, really well for him. And I think he's got a really good chance. He's got the pedigree, like you mentioned as well. He's got a good chance to be a very good player at the next level. Yeah,
I'm sure from time he was a small kid that he and his father, they have dinner together and they talk a little bit about this, that, Dad, what's it like here? What's it like doing this? Son, you got it. It's no problem. We're going to be just fine. And he will be on draft day. All things going well for him. He could be one of the top inside linebackers picked from that position. Another position we're going to look at is tight end, and Kenyon Sadiq, 6'3", 245-pound Oregon tight end. 4.55. He leads in terms of his speed compared to all the other tight ends at this point. Very athletic. He's versatile. He's raw. He's acrobatic, competitive. He has a high IQ. He's a clutch receiver, all that kind of stuff. But at 6'3", 245, Joey, is that below the level that – is he too small to play at that position right now?
No, not at all. I mean, some of the old things that we used to – markers we used to use for certain positions in today's football is kind of out of the window, some of it at times, and this is one of the positions because if you have a tight end, especially one this size, and maybe not this particular player, but this guy as a position, he's a tight end, kind of flex wide receiver, kind of fullback, okay, because most teams in the NFL today do not carry a fullback. So that guy will be kind of a lead blocker sometime going in, if not using a big guy. So there are a lot of options with guys this size. And the fact that he is his athletic pedigree is tremendous. I mean, you watch him, you can see him run, you can see the athleticism, you can see the change of direction. He's fearless going down the middle of the field. He can catch the ball in traffic. His hand-eye coordination is really good. And again, he can beat man-to-man on a safety and a corner sometimes because with the way Oregon plays, and I think a lot of people, when they line him up, when they flex him out, they consider him a wide receiver and not a tight end. They won't send out a linebacker. They'll play him with a safety or a corner. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's got 8 touchdowns this season, if not more. So really, his athletic pedigree is special. In my notes, I wrote down, I said he's the next evolution of a Travis Kelce type player. Now, when Travis came out, Travis was not an inline blocker. This kid is not an inline blocker. You're doing him and your team a disservice if you put his hand in the dirt and expect him to block a 5 technique or that edge on the end. That's not what he does. If you put him in space or you motion him down, he's able to make contact, roll his hips, turn a guy. He's never going to be a smash mouth blocker, no matter how hard you try. And I don't think it's a courage issue. I just think that's the way he's built, and he's never had to do that. So that's teaching a whole different skill set. But he will block on the perimeter. He'll block, he'll block safeties. There's not a lot from a skill standpoint, a tight end skill standpoint, he can't do other than be an inline blocker.
Brian, he reminds me through the description that Joey gave and what others see as a kind of a decathlete. He can do a little bit of everything so well. He can run a mile. He can run 100. He can pole vault. He can shot put. He can high jump. He just everything that you would want. He belongs on the field. And really, he's kind of a hybrid where because he can split out and run with the safety and beat him, they're going to let him do it. And it's basically taking his skill set and matching it to the offense as opposed to doing it the other way around. Say, here's our offense. You need to do what we ask you to do. Is that what you see in Kenyon as well?
Yeah. When I turned on the tape, my comp was Kyle Pitts. His Florida tape was really, really good. I still think he's got a lot of talent, but Sadiq is a very interesting prospect because his run after the catch is spectacular. They throw a lot of those little bubble screens and that little short action to him and let him get out in space, and he's a lot quicker than most linebackers, and he's big enough to where safety doesn't really want to see him full speed coming downhill at you, and they don't really want to have to put a hat on him. Joey mentioned his ability to block, at the next level, and I think some of that is his speed too, right? When there's a play and guys are running free and whatever you might have downfield, maybe a busted run play, whatever it is, he's quick enough to get downfield and be a lead blocker and maybe turn a medium play to a big play or even a touchdown. If you watch him play, he's got good hands. He's got great speed. His ability with the football in his hands reminds me of a wide receiver. He's very, very good at making something happen after he makes the catch, and he's got very good hands to boot. So, I'm very high on Sadiq. Obviously, the only knock is, maybe his size and, his blocking ability. But I think at this stage, it can only improve, right? And some coach is going to get with him, and at the next level, it's going to be obviously tougher. But I think they're going to fix that. If he's drafted into the right team, they'll scheme for him to be able to do specific things and to his specific talent. But like what Joey said, I think his ceiling absolutely at the next level could be a Travis Kelce type player, because if you watch the tape, he's got the skills to kind of back that up.
You know what? In today's football, there are certain teams like Buffalo, like even Detroit to some extent, where their tight end is really their number one receiver, and everybody else are
Green Bay.
Green Bay, So in those with an offense like this guy will be a perfect fit for a guy that's tight end centric in the passing game, because he'll open up everything else for the guys on the outside, because he can stretch the field vertically and he can catch the balls between the seams and traffic down the field, and he's got great run after the catch.
Well, you kind of beat me to it. I was going to ask you a question, Joey, specifically, if this young man went to Ohio State or Michigan or some run first, run second organizational school, would he see the field as much? Or would they move him to a different position because of his speed? I'm curious, because if, Ohio State has the guy that's 6'6", he's 255. He can't run down the field at all comparatively, but boy, can he block. Would he make the field there? Again, hypothetical, versus going to Oregon where they go, what's your skill set, kid? Okay, our offense is so wide open that we'll find something for you to do as long as you keep catching the ball the way that you're doing. So give me your perspective on that in comparison to some of the other schools that are out there, how he's able to take advantage of it, where Oregon's offense is just a perfect fit for him right now.
Well, I think that's where being a player, you have to be careful which school you pick, because you don't want to go to somewhere where they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. He wants to go to a school where, the tight end is going to have a lot of different opportunities. Now, at Michigan, I can't tell you the tight end has had a ton of opportunity, although they did have a tight end to go in the first or second round is playing pretty good, but he's not near the athlete that this guy is. Now, there are some schools, like if you go to a school like, let's just say, Ole Miss or maybe Alabama, or where you have a really good quarterback behind center, and you have this kind of athlete at tight end, it's just going to expand everything you do, because this guy's going to draw double teams on third down, and all those other guys, their game is going to blossom because you have somebody like this who can make plays in the middle of the field. Yeah,
you hit the nail on the head with me when you said that you really have to select the school very carefully, and the offense that they run, and the promise from a coach going, we'll find a spot for you, especially when a kid can really just jump off the page and be a very average, smaller kid. Hey, he puts on 10 or 15 pounds and he takes 15 100ths off of his 40 time. You got to find a way to get him on the field. Mm-hmm. And Brian, they've certainly done that here. I think, and you mentioned the Texas route yesterday, when you run a tight end down the middle of the field, and you better cover him with at least your safety. And if you have a linebacker kind of combo there, or just a little banjo coverage, and then you run a back right behind him, quarterbacks will be licking their chops for years saying, I can hit either one of you and it doesn't matter. One of you is going to be open, whether it's the back that nobody covered because they're on the tight end, or if you stay with the back and my tight end beats you down the field, it's a great option to have. I'm going to throw to the TE and I'm going to pick up 12 or 15 yards before he's even touched.
You know, a guy with his skill set, you could do exactly that, because some of his highlights, if you watch him play, he's very, very good down the seam. He's not afraid to take a hit from a safety. He's big bodied and he's basketball background, right? So he has the ability to hey, I know where I can screen you. I know how to box out. I know how to figure out and contort my body to where it's, I'm not just making a play, but it's the safest possible route for me to take. There's a lot of talent here. It's just, if he gets some, like if a Sean McVay were to get a hold of him, he could do anything, right? It's just, you wait and see. It depends on where he ends up, but this kid's got a ton of talent. And, the way he plays and the way the tight end position has evolved over the last decade or so, it's really hard to see him not being a factor on someone's team and being able to contribute and put up numbers at the next level.
Well, there you have it, folks. Two of the higher end prospects for 2026's draft. Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, and Sonny Styles, inside linebacker from Ohio State University. We're going to be looking at players all throughout the remainder of the season, all the way up to draft week. There will be some that you will say, I know who that guy is, but I really don't know much about him. And we're going to try to familiarize you with some different things. And guys, obviously, as the season progresses, or with injuries, or with playoff implications with the NCAA, will be guys that we've been already speaking about that are in the headlines, and they're going to be playing that weekend. And before you know it, the combine is going to be here, so we're going to be looking at a couple of players every week for that. So for Joey Clinkscales, our general manager and pro personnel director, and obviously former player who knows his insides and outs and speaks the lingo, and then we've got our tightness issue that we needed to get clarified. And for verticality, Brian LeBel, we're going to talk about all these things throughout the rest of the year. But thank you for tuning in. This has been the 2026 NFL Prospect Profile Show. We appreciate you being a part of it. We want to thank you for tuning in. We hope